Our clip today comes from the movie trailer Materialists. It demonstrates the challenges that all of us face when we're finding common ground. One of the things that I wanted to call attention to, and you may have to watch the trailer a couple of times if you've missed this, but the last person that was sitting on the couch, it was a man, and he expressed that he was 48, and the matchmaker indicated that she had someone in mind that was in her 30s that would possibly be a good match. And obviously he rejected he declined that, like, no, I'm not sure if I'm looking for someone in their 30s, implying that he would want to go perhaps younger. But I have to I have to call attention to this, to the fact that all of us have requirements. And even though we all have requirements, we cannot lose track of the main goal. With asking those questions, those first date questions, or asking those initial interview questions, or asking those precursor questions, whether you meet someone at a restaurant or a bar or wherever, and you're trying to figure out who they are, while you're asking those initial questions, we cannot lose track of the fact that we're trying to create a firm foundation for a long-term friendship or partnership if it's a business relationship. Many times, based on how aggressive we are or how assertive we are at asking those questions, it begins to feel like it's an interview, like a formal interview, and it loses some of the magic that is required and some of that sentiment that is required to establish a space of shared understanding. Um, Sometimes if you ask those questions and they're sort of rapid fire like that, or there's no emotion, there's no empathy, there's no understanding, there's no consideration. If you don't have a lot of those soft elements in those questions, then your initial questions can sound like an interrogation. And I'm not sure if there's many people in the world that will feel comfortable or do feel comfortable feeling like they're being interrogated by someone that they want to be friends with or someone that they just met, whether it's at the gym or in a park or at a store or at your job. No one, I've not met very many people that feel good about being interrogated. And so when you ask those questions or when people ask those questions and it feels like an interrogation, then people tend to respond as if they're being interrogated. They tend to limit the amount of information they share if they believe that that information that they share is going to make them vulnerable in some way or another. That's just the nature of the beast. If you're, especially in big cities, if you ask someone, "Hey, what do you do for work?" and typically, like, let's say you're trying to date someone, right? And you ask them, "So, what do you do for work?" If you ask them that, depending on how they feel about you, they'll tell you what they do for work, knowing just in the back of their mind, they know that you're trying to figure out how much money they earn. And typically, in my experience, that's essentially what people are looking for. Like, okay, how much money do you earn? Like, are you financially viable? Like, are you like what's up? Like, where are you? And they're it's almost like that interrogation. Um, but when we make friends, when we're and we know our topic for today is about finding common ground. When we meet people and we ask people, okay, so what do you do for work? Or what industry are you in? We're not asking what do they do for work or what is your profession or what industry are you in or what is your career aspirations. We're not asking that to try to figure out how much money you earn. That's not the purpose. When we're trying to make friends and we're trying to find common ground, because we know we spend so much time at work, some of us spend 8, 9, 10 hours, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, year over year, month after, like decade after decade, because we spend so much time at work, we want to know what each of us does for work. And it's not, like I said, to figure out how much money you're making, it's to identify what industry that you're in, what your life is like. Okay, so like what skills you may have, what personality traits you may have, and it's to identify opportunities for us to work together. Um, if we're able to work with our friends, and if we're able to be friends with the people that we work with, that's the perfect scenario. Because now going to work isn't just going to work. Now going to work, you're actually going to work to a place where they're your friends, and maybe they're very close friends, and they become family. And now it's not a chore to work 40, 50, 60, however many years that you're going to be working. Now it's an enjoyable experience where people care about you, genuinely care about you, not just about how much money you're able to make the company and how much you're able to help them move up in their job, but they genuinely care not just about you, but also about your family and also about your aspirations, right? So that's one thing I'll say is when we are asking people, okay, what do you do for work? Let's say you're on a date or something like that, and you're asking them, hey, so what do you do for work? Practice thinking about how what you do for work, whatever you are, maybe you're a nurse, maybe you're a developer, maybe you're a real estate agent, whatever it is that you do for work. Try to figure out what you do for work and what you are doing in your industry, and how that is going to connect or integrate with the person who you're sitting across from and you're trying to date. Try to put those puzzle pieces together. If you can think, okay, what does my partner do for work? Okay, how can I, as a nurse, or how can I, as a computer develop programmer, or how can I, as an application developer or a marketing person, how can I use what I do for work, my industry skills, my professional skills? How can I connect and integrate with my partner, and then combine our shared knowledge and create something beautiful that can sustain a family, sustain multiple generations of children. Um, that's that part, which is, it takes some brainstorming, it takes some collaboration, it takes some honesty, it takes some ability to trust, and some ability to work together as a team. But start thinking of whenever you find out what the person is doing for work, don't think about how much money they're making. Think about how much money you all can be making together when you integrate your life. Um, that goes for men and women, right? You may find out, okay, so what does she do for work? Okay, well, that's cool. The next question shouldn't be, okay, so next, like, okay, so do you have any children? So you don't, no, don't leave it there. When you're asking questions, you're trying to get to know someone, you're trying to find common ground. And we were asking them, what do you do for work? Think about common ground. Think about where we can come together. That is a lost, I'm not even sure if it's a learned skill, but they don't teach that very often. In schools, you may hear about it in therapy or in couples counseling, but um, it's something that business leaders, hiring managers, just random people in your life, your family members. It's something that people who are trying to date and learn about each other. It's something that everyone should learn. Is the ability to ask questions and obtain information from someone while also looking for common ground. Um, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how to do it. So I mentioned earlier, you have to not do what other people are doing, like we saw in the movie clip. We cannot just say, hey, I want this person, or I have this age requirement, or I have this BMI, or I have these requirements of my partner. We can't do what we saw in the trailer. It's okay to have standards. It's okay to have perspectives. It's okay to have wants and some needs, right? But as we learn about each other, as we get to know each other, we have to get to know each other in such a manner where we are also extending understanding. We're also extending empathy. We're also creating a safe space for that person to share whatever it is that's going on with them and share who they are. And they have to know that, okay, and as you share, I'm not trying to learn about you so I can take advantage of you. I'm not trying to learn about you so I can evaluate you or rule you out or red flag you. I'm trying to learn about you because I want to see how we can work together. We're trying to I am brainstorming with you. Whether or not you ask me to or not, I am brainstorming right now. I am in collaboration mode. When you're asking your questions and you're trying to get to know someone new and you're getting to know them for the first time, you're asking a lot of general questions, but make sure that the tone of voice that you use, make sure that the follow-up questions that you ask, they are all designed to create a safe space for that person to be authentic and transparent and honest with you. It should seem like a facilitation session. I'm not sure if you've gone to very many workshops, or if you sat in very many meetings where companies would be trying to figure out the solutions to very difficult problems. But if you're in those rooms, you'll see that the whiteboard is up. Yes, people still use whiteboards. The whiteboard is up, the PowerPoints are up, and everyone from the highest level executive to the lowest level person that's in the room, they're all putting their minds together and they're throwing out ideas and they're asking questions and we're trying to figure out what the right solution is to a very difficult problem. That's what I did as a consultant. And that's what I'm asking that you do when you're starting to create friends, when you're trying to make friends and trying to get to know people. Create that same safe space, ask those open-ended questions, actively listen, make eye contact. If you have to put the phone down, put the phone down. There are some people who say, I want to take notes. Like, well, okay, you can take notes, but try to take notes by hand, or try not to put a device in between you and whatever that person is sharing. You want to give them your undivided attention and try to do your best to make a genuine and authentic connection with that person. I mentioned that we're going to talk about how. That's the first one, which is making sure that you are giving them your undivided attention, you're actively listening, you're maintaining eye contact. If you can maintain eye contact, both of your ears are tuned in to what they're saying. Hopefully, you're facing that person. So your body, your chest is facing their chest. Your feet are also facing their feet. There's some people who pay attention to human body language and behavior. And sometimes people's feet can tell you or can signal where their interests lie. And so just make sure that you're all tuned in and you're paying attention to that person while you're trying to build common ground. And then when you start asking questions, let's say you're at the table or you're on a date or something and you're asking questions, it's okay to ask them what you do for work. It's okay to ask them what is their background, how did they grow up. But while you ask those questions, use a kind tone of voice. If you have to soften your tone, as if you're, I almost call it like the museum question, where you go into a museum and you may see something that you are unfamiliar with. And so you may ask someone who is working there, or maybe you ask your tour guide, hey, what is this? That's a different question, or that's a different tone of voice than you would ask if someone had done something wrong. Like if someone did something to your car, like, hey, who did this to my car? Or who, if someone stole something from you, like, hey, who took this? Who was in here? That's more of an interrogation tone of voice. You want to use a tone of voice like you're at a museum and you're trying to figure out, hey, why is this the way it is? Hey, why is that red? Or who wrote this? You're genuinely curious. Use a tone of voice that demonstrates that you're curious about the other person, that you are willing to learn about the other person. And that's going to demonstrate that you have some sort of level of empathy, some sort of desire to understand who that person is and why they are the way they are. It's very important. Each time we meet someone is an opportunity to learn new friendship making skills, new relationship skills, and build new connections and authentic connections with other people. And that's life. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or if you have no money. It doesn't matter if you have mansions and you have no place to live. We all need people in our lives, in our society, in our culture, yeah, at all of our companies. If you're a student, you're in school, or you're a professional, you're going to work, our life only makes sense in a society. Our families are only safe in communities. Like there's nowhere in life where we can live this American dream, or we can just be prosperous and we can be happy, or there's no place where we can do everything that we want to do in life and we can have complete fulfillment if we're on our own. We need communities. We need to be good at identifying and finding that common ground with other people. Um, so yeah, focus on your body language. Make sure you're doing active listening, and then when you begin asking questions, use the right tone of voice. You want to, like I said, ask with like that museum tone of voice, where you walk into a museum and you're asking questions. Once you do that, there's follow-on questions that you want to ask. One of the most important follow-on questions that I have found that has worked in so many scenarios. When I was in the military and I was trying to learn new things about space, I was a space officer, I was a consultant, and I was trying to figure out new things about my clients and really dig down into the root of the problem. I would ask, after I asked whatever the primary question is, I would typically ask that question about, okay, so how do you feel about that? That feeling question can be asked in a lot of different ways. Therapists ask it, doctors ask it, consultants ask it. Um, I was an officer. Like I ask it when I have to do some sort of like counseling or I have to correct a behavior. Always ask, okay, how do you feel? What is going on? Um, let's take the example of some asking someone, you're on a first date or something, or you're trying to get to know someone and you're trying to ask them, okay, so what do you do for work? If you're only interested in how much money they're making, you may ask something about money, like, oh, so where do you live? Do you own your own home? Like you'll try to figure out you'll start asking other questions about, like, okay, how much, what is their spend? Like how much money are they spending? But for people like us who are trying to make friends and we're trying to build common ground, or trying to create real, authentic, genuine relationships, we can't just ask, okay, what do you do for work and how much money are you making? We're not interested in that. What we're most interested in is building those authentic relationships. So after we ask, what do you do for work? Typically, what we like to ask, or what I like to ask, is, okay, how do you feel about what you do for work? That's an important question, because knowing how someone feels about what they do for work can give you some insight into whether or not they want to do whatever they're doing long term. It may also give you some insight into how their work ethic is, and their discipline is, and their resilience. Let's say, for example, they don't really like their job, but they do it at a very high level and they're very successful at their job. You know that that person has a certain level of professional self-discipline and certain level of resilience, that they can do what needs to get done even when times are hard. Now let's say you meet someone and they're like, I love what I do, I enjoy it. It also gives you some insight into who they are, because if you're looking at someone who is happy, engaged, they have some sort of like joy in life, they have a wonderful social life, and they love what they do for work. You kind of know, like, okay, they love what they do for work, they do X, Y, and Z for a living. You know that they probably see themselves in that position long term. You know that, like, that's part of their personality. They're happy, they're content. They see this as a long term situation. And so when you think about, okay, how do I build common ground with this person? They may be in a completely different industry. You may be in logistics and they may be in the medical industry, or they may be in technology and you may be in the logistics industry, or whatever it is, right? Or sports and entertainment, right? Or life sciences or financial services. They can be in whatever industry. But if you find someone who really loves what they do, now you can start thinking, okay, how can I integrate what I do for work and what they do for work? And how can we integrate our lives so that we can do something beautiful? Whether that is interacting and networking and joining clubs and related to each of our industries, whether that is coming up with a new invention or starting a new business, or essentially just combining your forces or creating ways and opportunities for your two companies to work together and find ways where both you all can win financially. You should start thinking about those things when you're asking them, okay, what do you do for work and do you like it? Especially if they like it. Um, that's typically what goes through my mind when I'm asking a lot of those first date questions, or if I'm on an interview or I'm just networking at a conference or something. So I encourage you to do the same thing. After you ask them what do they do for work, you want to find out if how do they feel about it? Are they getting joy out of it? That not only does that help you give you some insight into whether or not they think their job is going to be long term, but it also makes sure that they know that you care about them. When you're sharing information, it's a vulnerable situation. Like a lot of times, people don't like to say what they do for work because they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to share with someone that they just met what they do for work. Because sometimes people can use it against you. There's like a lot of people out there that can use that against you. But when you ask them how do they feel about it, and you are actively listening and you show genuine concern, then it communicates to them that, oh, I'm speaking to someone who actually cares about me. Like that's cool. You could be you don't have to be romantically attracted to the person to value someone who actually cares about you, cares about how you feel about your job or how you feel about the things that you're going through. And don't feel bad about sending the wrong signals. There are some people who are, let's say, your opposite gender, right? So males and females, female and males, right? And you're like, all right, we're dating, or maybe you're not dating, you're just getting to know each other as friends. Sometimes people don't want to ask those, okay, how does that make you feel? Or how do you feel about your job? Because they feel like, oh, if I do that, then the person may get the wrong idea, yada, 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 right? If you come down that path and you feel insecure about that, or if you have a concern about that, I just encourage you to be upfront with it and just let them know, like, hey, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I'm curious, how do you feel about what you do for work? And then if you want to be even more direct, you can say, hey, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I'm not really looking for a romantic partner right now, but I'm curious how you feel about what you do for work. And that's that. You can effectively network with someone of the opposite gender, someone that you may be attracted to, or maybe you're not attracted to, right? But you don't have to cross that romantic line. That goes for business relationships, that goes for personal relationships, and obviously romantic relationships. It is possible to show concern for someone, genuine human concern for someone, without crossing with any of those lines. The other thing that I wanted to share with you with respect to building common ground, after you get your body language, that's locked on. You're actively listening. You're asking those questions, and then you're actually showing concern. Like, hey, how do you feel? The last step of finding common ground is now it's time for you to share. You you have to share. We can't just ask questions of each other and create safe spaces and not demonstrate by our participation that those spaces are indeed safe. Like, for example, you meet someone new for the first time. Maybe it's a first date or something, right? Or maybe you're at a conference, you meet someone for the first time. You guys go get lunch or dinner or whatever it is, right? You create a safe space by your demeanor, by the way you carry yourself, by the tone of voice that you use, right? And so they believe you, and they bring their unvarnished, transparent, most authentic self to the conversation, and they share true things about themselves with you. When they're participating, now they're in the safe space, they're in like that circle of trust. And then once they share not just the details, but also how they truly feel, if you don't meet them in that same circle of trust, it is possible that they will feel, even though you've done all the things that I've asked you to do, it is possible that they'll start backing away and they will not feel as safe or not feel as comfortable in this safe space that you've provided if you don't join them in that circle of trust. So, how do we join them? Whatever the question is, today we're using the example of what did you do for work? And then how do you feel? Whatever that question is, and whatever that follow on question is, after they ask you, what do you feel? Typically, you ask two questions and then you throw in because you really want to learn about the other person. Then you should share whatever they said about how they feel. Acknowledge that their feelings are valid. Acknowledge what they have shared about their profession. Show that you've listened, and then share what you do for work, as if they asked you that same question. Oh, you're a doctor. Oh, great. Well, I'm an airline pilot. Oh, you're a fireman. Oh, hey, I'm in the Air Force. Also share what you did for work, and then also share how you feel about it. Don't make them ask, so what about you? So what about you? So what about you? How about you? How about you? When you think about the art of conversation, don't make that person keep asking you, what about you? Like, do your part. You've created a safe space. Do your part as well. So that way the conversation and the relationship that you're trying to build, we're trying to make friends here. You're not making it difficult for them to learn about you and learn about the things that make you tick. Um, with that shared understanding, like they shared, okay, this is what I do for work and this is how I feel about it. You should right away, after acknowledge what they said, and then share what you do for work and share how you feel about it. If they acknowledge what you do for work and how you feel about it, now it's time to move on to another question or another topic, or you can even dig deeper, but use that same formula. Ask them something that is sort of non-emotional, very focused on like an open-ended question about who they are, what attributes they have, what type of lifestyle they live. Then ask them about a feeling about it. Hey, how does that make you feel? Does that make you feel anxious? Does that make you feel confident? Does that make you feel insecure? Whatever it is, right? And then share how you feel and whatever that question is that you ask them. It should be reciprocal. These times everyone is talking about reciprocal tariffs, but your conversation, when you're building a friendship and you're creating healthy and safe and long-term relationships, your conversation should also be reciprocal. Uh, you'll find that when you're with someone and they have the same skills that you have and they have the same maturity that you have, you'll find that you'll be able to build a relationship much faster, like very quickly. If you're willing, if you meet someone and they're willing to share just as much as you're willing to share, and even if they're just maybe they're from a completely different background, completely different ethnicity, completely different tax bracket, yada, 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 right? Completely different educational background. If they can participate in a conversation with you and they can talk about what they do for work and how they feel about it, and you can talk about what you do for work and how you feel about it, and you're able to both use these skills, which is ask the question, figure out how they feel about it, share what your attribute is, share what you feel about it, and they're willing to go back and forth with you on that. There is nothing that you cannot discuss. There is nothing that you cannot work through. And if you approach it from a perspective of, hey, I'm trying to collaborate with you. I'm trying to figure out if we can make a long-term partnership with you. I'm trying to figure out if we're going to innovate and if we're going to create new things together. I'm trying to figure out if this is going to be the turning point in both of our lives where we meet the right person that we need in order to build a long-term future with. When you come at it from that perspective, There was no wrong question. There is you can ask whatever you want to ask because you've created a safe space and your intentions, your heart is pure. Um, that was a lot to digest today, but I hope that you didn't just get something out of it, but that you got something out of it to pass along to other people. Um, as we go through the series, learning how to make friends and learn how to make good friends. As we go through this series, we talked about building common ground today. We have other topics that we're going to be talking about very soon. I hope that you practice the things that we talked about today and the days before. Really work on with the people in your life and maybe your next date or the next person that you meet at a conference or the people that you see at work, your coworkers. Maybe it's your classmates, but the exercise for today is to meet people or go to lunch or go to brunch, go to dinner, whatever it is, but go maybe even go get some coffee. But ask someone what do they do for work and then ask them how they feel about it. And then share what you do for work and how you feel about it. And then see where the conversation goes from there. If it doesn't go anywhere, say, hey, I'm doing an exercise, I'm learning how to make friends, I'm working on skills. They'll probably laugh at you. It's cool. Everyone is working on something. There's some people out there that are working on push-ups and they don't get push-ups right the first time. Some people out there are working on running. You don't run the marathon the first time. You got to work up to it. I challenge you, or I should say, I ask you to work on finding common ground with people. And the exercise for today is about finding out, hey, where do you work, and how do you feel about it? It's a moment of transparency, vulnerability. It provides an opportunity for you to find that common ground. You don't have to be in the same industry, but maybe you feel the same about the work that you're doing. Oh, you really love your job? Oh, I really love my job too. Boom, common ground. Oh, you've been doing it for 5 years? Hey, I've been doing mine for 7 years. It's less than a decade. Oh, great. Boom, common ground. Oh, you're in a different industry, but you're in the same city. Hey, boom, common ground. You've been wanting to do that your whole life, or you're looking at doing something else. Okay, hey, I'm looking at doing something else in the next 5 to 10 years too. Boom, common ground. So asking what someone does for work and then asking them how they feel about it, there's so many opportunities to find that common ground. So that's the exercise. Find someone. Maybe it's someone that you work with, someone that you meet at a restaurant. Maybe it's someone that you meet online, but ask someone, what do you do for work? And then how do they feel about it? And then practice the skills that we talked about today, which is active listening, showing that emotion, showing that empathy, using the right tone of voice. It's kind of hard to do tone of voice when you're on the internet and you're just typing away, but find a way to practice that tone of voice where you're asking a question in such a manner where it makes them feel like it is safe to answer truthfully. And it's safe for them to be vulnerable. One of the hardest things to do is to be vulnerable with someone that you just met. But if you ask them in such a tone of voice, right away it can signal that, hey, this person may be safe. This person may be someone that I can have a conversation with without feeling like I have to be on guard all the time. I'm looking forward to the progress that you are going to make. I know you're going to make a lot of progress. I'm looking forward to the friends that you're going to be meeting. I'm looking forward to the relationships that you're going to be building. I'm looking forward to the work that we're doing together as we build this community. We want to build a community full of people who understand how to make good friends and how to keep them, how to nurture them. We want real relationships, real authenticity. We want to create a place where we can feel comfortable sacrificing for each other. We can feel comfortable being generous with each other. We can feel comfortable working with each other. That's the type of community, that's the type of relationships that we want to create. We want to feel comfortable loving each other. And I'm not talking about some sort of like love where we have to betray the romantic relationships that we have in our life. I'm talking about the love that we have for people who believe the same things that we believe. That you know what, we should do people right. We should have integrity. We should pursue excellence. We should all find ways to make each other feel like they belong. We should embrace our differences. Um, that's the type of community that we want to create, where people can be equal, we can have our freedoms, we can be prosperous, we can create new business opportunities, we can do a lot of wonderful things in our world. We can build homes for the people who don't have homes. We can feed the people who are hungry. We can help heal the people who are sick. These are the aspirations that we have in our community, and this is the reason why I'm working so hard to make sure that this community that I'm building has a good foundation, and we have good skills that we need in order to create healthy, long-term, good friendships. I look forward to working with you all again soon. I hope you have a wonderful day. Um, I'm not sure what you all are doing right now, but whenever you see this, whether it's in the morning, afternoon, or evening, know that you're not alone, and know that one day our community will be big enough and we'll all be able to make friends, good friends, and we'll all have the skills that we need to do that. I look forward to talking to you all again soon. Hopefully, you have a wonderful day. Thank you.